to the cloud.
You're recording.
I am.
Well, welcome everybody. I don't know if do we have any of our new. I don't see any of our new.
Yeah, David McFadden.
David. Oh yeah, David.
He's a returnee
All
of
right. So
decades past.
well, I'd send everybody the agenda, and I'm going to try to get through this and cover all the key points. And then at the end, if we do have any new people that join us later, or if David needs to look at anything, asking questions, I'll talk with them after that. So we're not going over the bare bones of things most of you already know how to do. So, first of all, February minutes. We were just having a discussion at this. All we have is actually the meeting agenda. Dr. Strobey was looking for minutes, and they are escaping us. So, if you just want to approve, I guess we don't really need to approve it because it was that agenda was looked at in the February meeting, and then scan through and see if there's anything that we discussed there that might not have made it to our talks today. Everything we talked about there should have gone ahead and gone to the commission for performance assessment, which met in May. I'll give everybody a chance to glance over that. All right. Does anybody see anything that we need to add to our current agenda? All right, hearing nothing, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Just a review for anybody, again, that might be new, our current Commission for Performance Assessment, which is the group that actually can act on anything that is performance assessment related and pass that on to any motions, pass those on for vote, is myself as the chair, Amanda as our band rep, Terry is our choral rep, Adam McIntyre is our orchestra rep, Scott is still the band chair. And then we have a new choral chair in Brittany and a new orchestra chair, Michelle. So we meet, if you're not aware, that group meets in May every year. After all of the band, choral, and orchestra council meetings have happened, and to go through any motions that come from that group that affect or apply to assessment, and we'll take those and look through and see if we see any issues. Most of the time, we pass everything on. Sometimes there might be a friendly amendment made, but and then those motions go to the summer board meeting. All right, next we have a spreadsheet that Dr. Strobey shared with us. It is the financials from this past year's assessments. Looking at, you can find on that document your particular district. You can see everything as an overview, and then you can look down at the details on the bottom on tabs for your events and see where we're operating and where we're not doing well. Large assessment still continues to operate in the red. Thank you for the solo and ensemble events for bailing us out and making the assessment aspect still operate in the black. Dr. Strobey, do you have anything on that you want to add?
Well, I should mention that you really ought to look down through your expenses and see if everything makes sense to you. In the first place, if it doesn't make sense, but it is appropriate, it would be worth a discussion so that you get that back into your mind. But the other thing is, someone looked at theirs yesterday and they saw two judges on there that didn't judge their event. And they got in touch and said, well, I don't know why that's on there. I thought, this puts me a little bit in the red. I thought I was a little bit in the black. Well, we looked, the judges had filled out their expense form with the wrong district in the description. And Tony, just looked at them and put them in the this person's district when in fact they were in a different district, and they just didn't know. So there was mistakes were made at that level, and then Tony didn't catch it. So he's corrected that now. It's correct on the sheet now if you log into it. But human error can happen, and we'd like that to be as close as possible for you and for whoever follows you, especially in your district, and for comparison basis. I think it's the percentage use is interesting. Sometimes there's a real reason why somebody's venue might be a higher percentage than others, or their meals might be a higher percentage than others. There's reasons that they know, but in general, looking and seeing the percentage, oh my gosh, my percentage is higher. I wonder how they do it so cheap. That can be worth a discussion too. So the comparative percentage of a certain category can be an eye opener sometimes. Maybe somebody's figured out tips of the trade that just haven't occurred to you at your place. If you've done it several years, that's less likely. But you never know. You can always learn. That's all I got to say.
All right. Anybody have anything, questions, concerns that you see there?
Yeah, sorry. District 11 vocal is showing 0 on the spreadsheet. I've hosted the large ensemble for vocal for the past 2 years. So I don't know if that's something that I didn't turn in at the end of the year. Nobody from KMEA emailed me or anything that I was missing any documents or anything. So
Mhm. Yeah, that's probably something that we don't check mark and chase after people about. I'll make a note here, Micah, and we'll that's a real Tony question.
okay.
And that's your expenses you're talking about?
Just all of it. It's not showing anything for District 11 on line 47 of the spreadsheet, but it shows it in the individual District 11 tab, all that stuff.
The end. Oh, interesting. On line 11. So maybe it didn't get. Maybe that just didn't get transferred over. We will look at that on Monday.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? I know for me personally, don't look at my line, but yes, we're very expensive because of Singletary Center is a huge thing for us in Fayette County that puts us way in the hole, but our hands are kind of tied on facilities. So we have not found the magic solution. I will keep looking. Moving on, changes that are in effect for this year, which you can read through. Most of them are described there, but I'm just going to touch on everyone. The first thing that happened was in the budget committee for KMEA. They were looking at things where we need to increase revenue. And so it was voted that we would increase large ensemble entry fees by $20 for each group. And you can see that based on this past year's numbers, that would create an extra $17,900 in revenue, which could help us get close to operating in the black if everything is managed well. So that was a new, and it's something you're going to want to make sure that your people in your districts know that there has been that increase. I tried to do this. I know there's 1 or 2 districts have already had their district meeting, but we tried to do this early enough that you could share that at your district KMEA meeting and help make people aware. Of course, an email also helps. So next, And if you notice, I've got the things where it talks about it applies to all areas of it.
Hey, Kevin, sorry.
Yes.
That makes me think of something which you're probably going to get to later anyway. But I just want to remind everybody, always go to the website and download new forms. The new forms have the updated fees on them. It's if somebody saved the form from last year, then makes a copy, and that's what they use, then that's where that's where we have to go back to them and go, oh, that changed and you used the wrong form. So if you're, of course, if your individual people use new forms, fresh forms from the website, they'll be sure and be up to date. And the same thing can be for managers. Sometimes there's manager forms that have been, something's changed. And so I strongly recommend you want to get a form, don't go into your Google Drive to find it. Instead, go to the website and get it off our Google Drive, and that'll generally pay off.
All right, thank you. Moving on. Next thing was homeschool students have the opportunity to participate in KMU solo and ensemble events beginning this year. They would need to pay a $15 entry fee versus the 10. And this is also aligned with the All-State Band was the first group, I think, to adopt this and start using that. And so this was passed, allowing opportunities for those kids to perform without, if they're a part of that. They don't have to be even part of a homeschool organization. That organization doesn't need to register. They just simply pay the larger fee. I am correct on that, Dr. Strobey.
All right.
I cut and pasted the motion and is that good, Dr. Strobey?
Looking in the chat. Can't see it. What's that? You pasted, where'd you paste it?
Oh, no, I'm just talking about the motion on the agenda. If I had covered everything correctly on that with the homeschool.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. All right, moving on. There is now, if someone is doing a piano solo, there is now, they're eligible to move on to the state round if they use the UIL list for pianos. And we were also making sure that appeared in all three rule books, because that event could happen. They could go through any of the three, band, orchestra, or choral, if that's a option. Band probably being the most likely because we have so many instrumentalists, but those piano solos can actually occur in all three areas. All right, moving on. This was just the Kentucky, this is for our band folks. The American School Band Directors Association has petitioned. They're wanting to gather any names of any schools that score a 21 or a 22 composite score to award them with another certificate of excellence. Please know that if you see in the word that they want to collect it from assessment managers. So this is going to be a change on our part of, we're going to make sure we need to keep tallies on those bottom numbers on the sevens, record it. I've been doing it for the past 3 years since I've been doing assessment managing. And I've already was doing it before this ever came about. I just have I have two spreadsheet, a separate tab on my spreadsheet where I enter the numerical totals and then another spreadsheet for the Roman numerals. So you do not, if I understand this, they will reach out to you. It'll be probably Robin Barker, who has been who I've talked with in the past. Do you have questions about anything to do with that?
Kevin, I have a question. Wouldn't it be just easier if everybody turned that into the KMEA office and then there's one centralized place for them to get it if we already have to submit something?
That's not what they seem to want to do.
Well, there are assessments and our scores, so it seems like we would if they want that information, that's, I don't know. It
I-
seems silly to like 17 different people to submit things when it could be one centralized location. And it's, you have to collect it anyway to publish in our magazine. So just a thought.
I know, I don't disagree. That is not the way the discussion went. And that is not what was approved. I was there, I just, okay.
All right, any other questions? Thanks, Allison. Band area, solo and ensemble. If you're not aware, there are new adjudication sheets and they look like, and they are on the website and they're also attached to the agenda for your perusal, but they operate under a similar format as we do for large ensemble assessment. So those will be used at all events this year statewide. Another one that I don't know if anybody's heard any chatter about this, but it was one group, and there was nothing saying they couldn't do it, but one middle school group last year applied for state band assessment, played a piece off the list. They followed all the criteria, and there was no way to say no because there was not a rule that's prevented it. So now there is a rule allowing it for any middle school group if they desire to move on to the state band assessment. They have to follow the same format as the high school groups. They have to get a composite 4 or 5. Now, I am going to point out one thing. There is something that it was kind of pushed through pretty quickly at the summer board meeting. There was some talk and discussion, and it never got ironed out. There is a loophole for middle school groups. Middle school groups do have the option of sight reading for comments only. And 9 districts are sight reading this year. So there was no adjustment made or clarification for whether that takes place. So technically, as the rule stands right now, and this is something we'll have to look at for the future, and that's kind of why it was addressed in the discussion of, since it's already happened, the precedent's already there, we allow it, and then we need to look at and see if we need to adjust the wording to make it to where right now a group can get a 2-1-2 on stage and not sight read, have an overall proficient rating, and still advance to the state assessment. So the spirit of the motion is that they do complete the sight reading, except for again, there's 3 districts this year doing the pilot program, which I'll discuss in a moment. Any questions from any of our band people on that?
The criteria for getting in did say that it would be a high school band, but I don't think it said it on the form. It said it in the rules that were elsewhere, and that band director overlooked it. Didn't. I mean, this was just innocently said, well, we'll just do that because the form looked like he could. So they were given special permission to do it, then the rule was also changed for the future for anybody any middle school director to do it. That's kind of the history and context of how it came to be.
All right, thank you. For more clarification, anyone else? All right, we're moving on. You can see here, this is again for our band area. Middle school classification has been amended to read as follows, and I'm not going to read it to you, but there were more than one groups last year that contacted me saying, I don't see where my group would actually follow. And there was some kind of haziness, I thought, in the wording of the Class B, where you had the option of switching back and forth. But in some cases, you had groups that were made of 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, some 7th, 8th, and 9th. There's just a variety, and there were grade levels, like what grade the students need to be in. But there's some districts in the state like that they don't start band until 7th grade. Some start 5th grade and they have it every day at 5th grade. So we removed the grades. so that it just now looks at the majority of students are in their whatever year of instruction as far as that goes. And then somebody asked why we did not do that on Class A. Well, if you should look at Class B, all of the majority are in their second. So, I mean, I guess we could have said the same thing for students, but that Class B clarifies if you fall into Class B, I think. So, any questions on that? And this also has been updated on the entry form. We did find some inconsistency where there was a place for Class D, but then it doesn't mention Class D in the rule book, or didn't. But it does allow it on the registration form. So more clarification was made there. Class D does not have the option of the asterisk of picking Class B or C. They have to pick their class. Next, choral area. Adopt the prescribed UIL, prescribed music list with the following rules, stipulations. And some groups last year, there were some groups that were already operating under the assumption that this was already in place last year. So there was a friendly amendment made at the, I guess not amendment, a decision to allow a little leeway in getting pieces approved to speed up the process for the prescribed music list for Kentucky, because they had already started rehearsing their pieces before this was discovered. So, but this is now officially in place all the way across. And also, you'll notice for the choral side that we are now referring to not easy, medium, and difficult in levels, but Class A, Class B, and Class C. Terry, do you have anything on that one that you would like to add?
Nope, you got it all covered perfectly.
Beautiful. Okay. Next, clarification on choral sight reading. That there was some confusion because last year there were some pieces that had the right number of beats if you were in 3/4 time, but it was more measures than what were prescribed. So now there's clarifying language on that. And then moving on, Terry, correct me if I'm wrong, we just moved one thing in the wording on the choral side that allows the in the script, allowing the director to go ahead and choose ahead of time about changing key.
That's
that the only-
correct. Yes, we had it in an odd spot, so they would have already established the key and then been told that they could change the key. So by moving it earlier in the script, it allows them to only be dealing with one key the whole time that they're in the sight reading process.
All right. Thank you. And then in orchestra, the new for this year is adopt the full orchestra list for Georgia for orchestra performance assessment. So I don't have much background on that. It was very little discussion. It went through without any controversy.
The only list that they had was from Dixie Classic, which is Joe Simpkins, who ran that, has passed away, and it's I think it still sits. I don't even know if you can get to it anymore. I got when Joe died, I downloaded a copy because our people were still using it, and I thought it might go away, but it's way out of date. And so they went to something that's being maintained, which is the Georgia list.
Link to that list. Is it on the website? Do we know?
I think it's
yet?
on the orchestra assessment page. Yeah, the Georgia list. If it's not, it should be. I better check. Supposed to be.
All right. Are you looking at that now? Because I have the website pulled up right now if I need.
I can.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. That is everything that is in terms of changes for this year from last year. Of course, the band has probably the most, but for all areas, if you can just make sure that people in your district are aware of that. And it may come from your band chair or your choral chair or orchestra chair at your district meetings, but it would be good still to follow up with it, making sure everybody is aware of any changes in that. All right. Nathan has provided the link. And there it is. So it is there. Thanks, Nathan. All right, moving on. Kind of into the reminders category of some things. This is good for all of us. Also, really good information for anybody who is new. And we're recording this meeting so they can hear it. And I'm going to say for anybody who watches this video later who is new, I'm an email or a phone call away if you have any questions or need help. I'll do anything I can to help you get going, especially if it's the first time doing it, because it can be a little overwhelming. All right. KMEA office created shared Google folders last year for each event manager. Is there anyone here who did not use those? I've never tracked to see if anybody was using it, but it helps them be able to access stuff, especially when they're if we have questions about whether somebody's paid a fee, entered. It's a good place so that they can access that from their end on your documents and see and help you out trying to track down payments and if anybody is not up to date as they need to. But if that is there for our use and helping manage things.
Right. We just ask that you do all your work in that folder. It's still work that you can do. You can edit it, you can manipulate it, you can share the link out with your constituents, but then we can see if so-and-so brought 8 solos and they never paid. If we are somehow queued to it, we can go and look. The other thing is someone like David, if he's new to it or new back to it, we can share him the link to that folder that Zach Shannon used last year, and he can get the lay of the land because he doesn't have access to Zach's drive. But if Zach used that folder, which I don't know, then that would help David.
And yeah, I've been using it. So if I do pass it on, I mean, unfortunately, some of the stuff I had from Todd Chamberlain that he passed on to me when I took over in our district is now gone because I forgot to download some of it, although I had most of it. But there's some things that if I needed access, I don't have anymore because he is retired and moved on to another state. Next item, check your credit cards, make sure they haven't expired. It's your annual reminder. And if you're new and once you get one, be sure to set up a PIN before you try to go use it for the first time and you can't. So last thing you want to be doing is trying to order meals for somebody like the day of and you hadn't set up your PIN and then you're pulling out your own credit card.
Question about that for Dr. Strobe. If you're just getting an updated card and you already had a PIN on your old card, does the PIN stay consistent or do you have to do it every time?
I think it stays consistent. I just updated my card yesterday. It was going to expire, I think, next month. And so it came and I dialed the number and, did whatever I had to do to tell them I am who I say I am. And it updated. It's got a new 3-digit code on the back. That's different than before. But as far as I know, it carries over.
Okay.
I need
Great.
to
That's
look
all I
into-
needed. Thank you.
I'll look into that.
Dr.
Okay,
Strobe,
thanks.
what I'm going to say, go off topic here. Is that the same card that is used for competition suite?
Yes.
I noticed when I was setting up a contest last night that it had the expiration date. So something we ran into last year or 2 years ago.
I will log in and update that card. Thanks for the reminder.
Okay. Moving on, guidelines for and suggestions for assessment management. We were still tweaking, not any policy, and this isn't really policies. It's guidelines. It's helping you. It's geared a lot towards first year managers. But if you ever have questions about what are allowable expenses, those are outlined in that document. I'm not going to read it for you, but it is located in the assessment managers tab. It's the first item you see if you go to assessment manager forms, and it says right there guidelines and suggestions for operating. There were some things that were updated in it as far as, suggested pay for helpers. Of course, you'll have to check mileage at that time of your event because that changes quarterly. And just want to make sure you're aware that that document is there. And we did, most of our edits yesterday were just grammar, just things, making sure that it was clear. Again, no policy changes. There's nothing I can't go into that document and start changing policy, anything that has to go through all the proper channels. Next, this one's a big one. Please make sure to work with the KME office, make sure all payments are in, or there is at least a signed PO prior to your event. The other thing, which I think they check at the office, is
we check membership and school registration.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I just got a text from James Gregory that he couldn't get into the meeting, so he just showed up. Yeah, but do y'all check that before? Is the membership checked before they can register for the event?
Yes, we try to stay on top of that because people's memberships can expire at most any time, and that's what our membership coordinator does, is try to stay on top of that. If somebody does expire, their membership does, then we start working with them. So I had a manager who was letting a lot of people come to one of their events, even though they hadn't done some of the things they were supposed to. Not a lot of people, a few people that hadn't done all the things they're supposed to. Maybe their program wasn't registered and that sort of thing. And the manager said, well, what am I supposed to do? Tell them they can't come? I said, no, please tell them that they're not eligible to come at this time. And if in order to come, please get with me about that. And so then what happens is we're never going to say, no, you can't. What we're going to say is, we see that you're not up to snuff. We're going to get it in our records to be following up with them so that we're not trying to get someone's program registration paid in June after the bookkeepers close the books. It's a matter of catching it early. We'll eventually probably figure some of that out, most of that out, if not all of it, but it happens so late if we don't catch it at the front end. So we just need you as, I don't want to say a gatekeeper, I want to say an alert system, early warning system that this is going to be a problem, and we'll let them do it. We'll let them take their kids. We'll let them do all these things. We don't want to punish the kids, but we do want to, in all fairness, keep everybody where they're supposed to be, just like everybody else, even if it's a little bit of cart before the horse. That happens. Cart before the horse happens. But hopefully it's not too far in front of the horse.
All right. Moving on, sight reading. For all large ensemble groups, sight reading is required to take place. Junior divisions can do it have the option for comments only, but even if they're doing comments only, they still have to go through the sight reading process. The exception, and this is what I said I was going to talk about this earlier, there are still 3 districts in Kentucky who want to do the pilot that either missed a deadline or have not done it. Their district may have changed their stance on it. And of course, we said last year it was going to be the last year, but now we've gone a year further of trying the pilot of clinic versus sight reading. So no decision has been made on that. So after all the districts have done this, then there will be some type of decision made, whether what route we're going. But the other thing that might be in that, it's should be public knowledge, is because there's a subcommittee that is currently looking at the sight reading format on the band council side to see if there should be tweaks made to the sight reading process, and also looking at time limits, making sure of pieces, because right now there's some information on the website that on our current criteria, but it has not been changed because it would take a change from the band council. The criteria does not align with the current UIL criteria. UIL has changed their criteria, but some of ours says that it aligns with the UIL criteria, but it actually doesn't now. So that committee is looking at that, and also other possibilities of different formats of sight reading. So no motions have happened from that. And of course, that subcommittee can't change it. The band council would have to change it. So I'm not on the band council, but I am a part of that committee since I'm dealing with assessments. And if you have questions about that, feel free to talk to me. We can talk about it here if you like, or you can talk to me privately so that the orchestra and choral people don't have to hear all the band stuff. Next, just making sure reminders that when for large ensembles, that if anybody's submitting any type of photocopied score, e-print, out of print, public domain, that it is bound and is copied front and back and would flip through a score just like a normal score, not a stapled together copy. If they bring you that, you're supposed to say comments only for that. So, and here's the reminder that Dr. Straube mentioned earlier. Make sure you're using everything that's from the site now. Don't use copies of last year's things, just to make sure everything is aligned, especially solo and ensemble for band, because that's completely different. And then we're also required to provide for directors a report on evaluators, adjudicators form in the director's folder. Now, Dr. Straube, I know they changed that with marching band to go to an electronic version, correct? That to be done electronically.
Yeah, in some fashion, that's right. It escapes me right now just what we did. How'd that work, Ryan? Do you remember? You're muted. There you go.
Yeah. No, but if you use Competition Suite, we've gone paperless.
Yeah.
So I believe we just, if I'm not mistaken, we send them a link.
Yeah, it all sounds familiar, but it's been a while, and
I didn't run a contest last year, so
yeah, there you go.
yeah.
Well, it was just done this year, I think, is the first time that it's going to be in place with the electronic version. Because I mentioned it in a band council meeting just to Tim, kind of through I sent him a text message, and then there was, I think actually that was I can't remember which meeting it was, but yeah, I thought, if I understand it right, this year they're going to an electronic base. I mean, for this year for us, it needs to go in the folders and do the old paper and pencil copy or pen and paper copy. So. And then also the confidential report for adjudicators to give to band directors, like if your kids are sitting backstage, sitting on the side of the stage, leaning on the piano with a cell phone out when they're not playing, and texting if you want to let the director know so they're aware. That's a good way to do that. So any questions or comments from anybody here? Anybody? Okay. Then I guess I have nothing else. Do I hear a movement for adjournment?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All right. There's our motions. If nobody opposes and you want to sit here and stare at my face a little bit longer, say something.
That's right.
Oh, John Johnson says he wants to look at my face again
Oh, no.
longer. All right, we're going to adjourn. Thanks, guys, for showing up and being here. And those of you who will watch us later, we missed you. If you have questions, reach out.
Let's see.